It's awesome to be here at Nearest Town Hall, and welcome everyone who joined it. I apologize if my internet is sometimes a little bit slow, so in case something happens, but it's exciting to be here. Today we're going to talk about actually two pretty cool events. One is it's been 1 year since our Genesis block for Mainnet. And as some of you may know, we've had a Rainbow Bridge launch, which was amazing. Next slide. So first of all, I want to welcome everyone. I mean, this is like one of the events we are doing, and we want to do more, and we want to kind of engage more the community. This is for you to ask questions, to participate. So please come to the chat in the events and leave your comments, leave your messages and questions, and we're going to answer them at the end. Today, I'm going to give a quick overview where we've been for the past year, and then I'm going to transition to Erik, who is going to give us kind of an overview where we are going in the next kind of coming months, and then finally, Alex Shevchenko will cover in more detail how Rainbow Bridge works, how's it going, and shows us a demo. And then we will do questions. So let's do the next slide. So almost to the dot a year ago, we've actually had a Genesis block for our near mainnet. And not everyone was here back then, but our initial idea was to kind of bootstrap the network, really started going in a proof of authority mode to actually be able to start testing all the infrastructure that's built around it. And so this is important because, as people want to build apps, there's actually a lot of infrastructure from wallets to indexers that needs to be built on top. And so we launched it on April 27th, the Genesis block, the block number 0, and we had a transition plan how it will go from a proof of authority mode to the kind of fully permissionless network. Next slide. Through this, we have pretty much, it took us a little bit longer than we expected to go to kind of the next mode where we have onboarded lots of great validators that have been running the network. So we have been running the stake wars, kind of the competition for validators to really exercise the network, and they have found lots of issues with the network during that period of time. And so by September, we kind of got into a really stable state, and we're ready to get to the next stage. So September 24th was mainnet restricted. This is where, from our perspective, network was ready, and we gave it to the community to really vote when they think it's ready as well, and unlock transfers, right? So before that, everybody's tokens were locked. We were planning that it will take a few weeks, but and it kind of at the end took 3 weeks all in all, but it's been a pretty heated debate. There's a lot of folks kind of contributing. There's a lot of things that were missing at the beginning, but at the end, the vote passed and the transfer unlocked on October 13. That really showcased that community can make decisions, can coordinate, can come together to make something kind of decisions this big to unlock transfers, and really enable the mainnet to be fully permissionless, right? So this really, like from perspective of kind of actually working network, this was first day, and it's now almost 6 months since then, which is also amazing. So going to next slide, we can see that our network has been evolving and growing, and actually last few weeks we've been hitting records almost every week, where with some of the bridge launching and a few of the apps launching, and I'll showcase them, we've been hitting kind of pretty much like almost 10x of our weekly active accounts than before. And actually, I think like yesterday was peak day, was 100,000 transactions per day, and it's kind of keeps growing. So it's really amazing. We see some of the apps kind of starting to really pick up. And if we go to next slide, you can see the apps that are really growing are Ref Finance. I'll mention what that is, Near Crowd, and like a few others. And so this is really amazing to see, because this is, actually fully operating network. We have, all the tooling working, everything works. Users are able to onboard really easily. It's kind of Web2 experience. And at the same time, we have all the kind of pieces coming together, and these apps are starting to grow. So in the next slide, I just want to highlight a few apps. This is kind of high level, right? We see kind of the evolution coming, and Erik will go into way more depth on this, but kind of in 3 different sub-compartments. It's financial applications, community applications, and DAO applications. And so here we actually have a representation of this with Ref Finance and Pulse representing kind of more financial side. Ref is a DEX on Near built by community. We have Pulse Market, also a built by community prediction market. We have a creator side, which is represented by Bear Club. Bear Club probably is like 2nd app on Near, and actually first thing built on Near ever. So the history of Bear Club is pretty funny, because it was a hackathon, internal Near hackathon project, December 2018. So we built it first in 2018, and then it was like one of our examples for a long time. And then it was turned into a full app with token, with kind of economy around it, and launched. And if you haven't seen it, check it out. There's a really awesome video of kind of evolution of pretty much community drawing together different art. There's kind of wars as always for the spots in the space. And then we have Paras and Minbase, 2 kind of marketplaces coming from different directions, pretty much providing creators a place to offer their art, and in case of Minbase, pretty much having like a wide variety of use cases. So these are kind of like 6 highlights I wanted to make, but there's actually plenty of more apps already launched, and even more are building. So if you go to next slide, this is just a screenshot of awesomenear.com. Check it out. This is where you can find all the apps that are kind of trending, which are right now being launched, and always you can see apps that are in building, and kind of all the other pieces that are in the ecosystem. So shout out to the Awesome Near team for being awesome. And if you're building a project and it's not there, you can always submit a project there. So next slide, just kind of stepping back, right? There's been a year of a lot of work, right? Since we launched, we actually had over 18 protocol upgrades. And so Near, behind the scenes, kind of in the protocol, has a pretty much kind of a hard fork mechanism based on proof of work that allows very smoothly to transition from version to version and really upgrade the protocol. And this has been pretty clear that this is a needed thing. Like, part of what we believe is that the protocols needs to evolve, protocols needs to continue grow, and kind of incorporate new features. And so we've been doing that kind of together with validators, and really like presenting what is the next things improvements in the protocol will be, and letting them to adopt them by running the new version. And so there's been a ton of bug fixes. I mean, if people are interested, you can go and check out Near Core's release notes. There's been reduced CPU usage and memory usage. That's been one of the kind of major things that validators came in the beginning, and we kind of been, the team been fixing that. We reduced the storage staking cost by 10x. There's been actually a developer concern as people started to use it more and more. There's been clear need in kind of cheaper storage, and as we underneath trying to optimize a lot of things, it became possible to do. And then we continuously improving performance for a single shard. There's new updated WebAssembly environment. There's kind of ways to kind of optimize how things are running, and like transition some of the work to kind of do ahead of time. At the same time, we keep doing more work on sharding. So, I mean, obviously, like if you're familiar, like the Near is a sharded system. It runs in a sharded capacity right now, but with 1 shard. We have kind of test environments with 8 shards and testing more. And really, on one side, we still don't need this, right? Even with current growth, there's still lots of capacity in the 1 shard. And so we want to make sure that kind of as we transition into this multi-shard environment, everything will be kind of running as fast and as smooth as possible. So we've been testing this for the past few months. there's more work there. Join the chain sync if you want to learn more. Next slide. One of the critical pieces is standards. This is like our developers have came to us and said we need standards that are actually represent Near in a way that, like, because Near's async environment, and also because a lot of original Ethereum standards also were kind of done in maybe too quickly and already now so ingrained that it's really hard to change them. So for example, fungible tokens, the approvals method has made a lot of pain for developers on Ethereum. And so actually we have pioneered going away from approvals and actually using callbacks. And so this allows to actually create a very interesting ways of doing financial operations and kind of security around that. And so actually Refinance is one of the first apps that's using it, like kind of putting it all together with a lot of tokens and bridge and everything. And then the other side of this is NFTs. I think NFT has been an interesting evolution of things, but it has not really came to fruition like in the full capacity that we believe and kind of the NFT community believes it's possible. And standard is one of the things that been kind of putting it down. So we have lots of teams that are building kind of NFT projects on Near, and they have came together to build a standard, which really includes kind of core features like royalties inside, right? Allowing pretty much artists or original owner or original creators to receive the reward as the NFT gets resold later. There's a lot of more metadata, enriched metadata, and there's global IDs, which are really important as you can allow to like link directly into NFT in some contracts. And there's more features that you can look into. Next slide. So all this is awesome. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of developer tooling. I'm not going to mention. There's like so much things going on developer tooling side. But I do want to mention kind of education. Like from beginning Near, like we believe in education as kind of one of the ways to bring a lot more developers into the ecosystem. Like what we did with whiteboard series, what we did with kind of app review, live review of apps. This is all being about how do we kind of educate people how the protocols work, how applications work. We also have obviously how enterprise, like how to build projects with Open Web Collective podcast, Open Web podcast. And so this is actually two more new initiatives that we started this quarter. One is about actually certifying developers, right? Actually turning them kind of going from zero to a fully certified kind of developer with like few levels. And if you go through this program, you actually get an NFT. So if you haven't done it yet, check it out. So it's learnnear.club. And this is like a full, intense 1 week program, but you come out actually knowing how to build things. And then there's a kind of interactive, like self-paced education platform called Near Academy, which allows to, again, onboard developers and really gives them space to build their own thing. And so going to next slide, I kind of like, there's a lot of stuff going on the product side. There's a lot of stuff going on kind of developer side, but the really important thing is community. And Near is not just like one community. And so a lot of people kind of maybe coming in and saying like, oh, Near's official, whatever, Telegram channel is not that active. And the reason is it's actually a community of communities, right? We have a lot of kind of sub-communities which are span from regional, like we have a bunch in China, we have kind of guild in India, we have guilds in other places in Russia. And then we have kind of interest level, right? From privacy to NFTs, from DAOs to DeFi. And then there's kind of really specific purpose guilds, like Ant's guild is specifically focused on marketing and creating community marketing for Near. Right? So really, it's not just about one Telegram channel. It's actually about kind of a whole host of these guilds that are working together, but at the same time serving different functions and serving different purposes. And so if you're really interested in kind of participating more in the Near ecosystem, you should join some of these guilds kind of based on interest, based on location. I also want to highlight, actually, right now in India, there's a kind of healthcare crisis. Corona have hit them way harder than actually I realized, at least, and they really need help. So Near's India guild actually are helping locally. They're doing blood drives. They they're trying to kind of collect donations. So please support them, and like we as Near will be supporting them as well. I think it's really important. There's like India's a really big country. They have this, like, as we've seen, other big countries have not always managed to get things really going. So please, I urge everyone to kind of help out where they can. So yeah, this is kind of just a quick overview where Near been. I mean, there's a lot more obviously going on. There's so many things, but in the interest of time, I'm gonna pass it on to Erik, CEO of Near Foundation, and he's gonna cover more about where we're going with creator economy and beyond. Thank you.
Thanks, Illia. Yeah, hey everyone. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, so actually, if you jump to the next slide, I'm going to make a statement and then kind of like walk through actually what it means. So Near is the infrastructure for innovation, which powers communities, creators, communities, and financial markets to drive a more open, interconnected, and consumer-empowered world. So there's a lot of stuff in there. But really what I want to get to is this idea that I don't think anybody's going to argue that when we set out to build the best technology. And you know, a lot of even what Illia was talking about bubbles up and starts from the technology layer of all of the things that you know, the Near protocol has enabled, and all the work that's gone into it, all the work that's gone into standards and everything like that. And what I really want to do is bubble that up and frame that in a little bit more into the why and into kind of what does that enable. So if you jump to the next one, the first place. And by the way, that's sort of both a short-term thing and a long-term thing. So the first piece does start with the infrastructure. So if you go to the next slide, you always have to kind of start with the infra and then let's like build our way up. So obviously, Near starts with the blockchain. When we built this blockchain, when the core team has built this blockchain, the idea was make it scalable, make it usable, make it affordable for people to use. And as Illia mentioned, that launched officially in the Genesis block about a year ago, and then the full community handoff occurred in October. And so then from that point, things have begun building upwards. So the middle layer of this is components. And so on top of the blockchain, you have the smart contracts that create these components that become reusable components that get integrated into everything. And I think a good example of that is like DeFi on Ethereum as this whole layer of piping where all of these components get pulled together. And so the components layer is really important because that's actually what provides the APIs and everything that enables the apps on top of it. And the ultimate goal here, though, is to be building consumer-ready apps. And the thing that I want to note is that even though the story starts with infrastructure and ends with apps, what the infrastructure provides is actually really important because that's ultimately what the apps are going to have to draw upon in order to create good experiences for consumers. So if you go to the next stage, I'll start with the infrastructure layer, but kind of build outwards a little bit. So the idea here is we know that Near is a proof of stake sharded blockchain. It's built for scale. Some of the other cool stuff, though, is the flexible account model is really designed to make it so that developers can build really flexible dApps on top of Near. They can quickly deploy them. They can build them using languages that they know and trust, assembly script, Rust. But the real question is like, okay, so why? What does this mean? And so that's where I want to go into the components layer in the middle and talk about three specific things. So one is AMMs, DAOs, and NFTs, and then kind of talk through how is that coming together. Because one of the cool things about being in the foundation is that we kind of get to just see like what's bubbling up from across the ecosystem. And what's fun about my job is I get to sort of pull this together and see how the story is developing. And that's basically my goal here, is to kind of talk that through. So if you go to the next slide, on the AMM side, the AMM stands for Automated Market Maker. And this is just one set of components that people are building out in the ecosystem on Near. So Illia mentioned Ref Finance. I have an example of that. The reason why that's something that could be built on Near was obviously the development environment is easy to use. It's low cost and high speed, but there's this synchronous asynchronous trade-off. So basically, dApps on Near can choose between sort of the performance of a synchronous environment or the scalability of an asynchronous environment, and creating things like AMMs in that environment is actually highly flexible and allows them to do things that you don't always see on other chains. One of the other pieces of that is interconnections. So the Rainbow Bridge is a big piece of this. I'm not going to steal Alex's thunder on the end there, but having access to other chains actually allows a lot of movement in assets that's quite helpful for things like that. So if you go to the next slide, I want to jump into NFTs as well. So we've done a lot of really cool stuff in this ecosystem around NFTs. So Illia again mentioned that we have NFT launchers. So we have NFT launchers, we have FT launchers. That's been created by teams out there. We have Paras is also launched. And one of the cool things that actually happened a while ago was NEAR got certified as officially carbon neutral. And I'm not sure if it's the only blockchain, but it's definitely one of the few that is officially carbon neutral. And that means that NFTs issued on NEAR are actually green NFTs, which really matters when you talk to people who are in this space and who are thinking about issuing NFTs. But the other piece, of course, is that interoperability means that the NFTs that are issued are not actually stuck on NEAR. It's not an island. It's not even a sort of an L2 in that sense. But it really is a place where the NFTs can be set free. So I think that's given it more momentum for people who want to innovate and create cool stuff with NFTs. And Illia also mentioned some of the things around deferring minting fees. The flexibility with which you can assemble these standards and assemble these contracts has allowed for some really interesting innovation on that front. And then if you go to the third one, which is DAOs. So Sputnik is one of the coolest things that we've had on NEAR. So right now, Sputnik is in version 1. There is a forum post you can take a look at on the governance forum, which is around Sputnik version 2. And DAOs on NEAR is something that we're just beginning to explore the full power of, because what's tended to hamper DAOs on other chains, for instance, Ethereum, where of course they invented the concept of DAOs, is they've actually had to take a lot of the actual governance, the practical governance of DAOs off chain because of the transaction issues and the fact that you can't have a whole community of people voting on chain when transaction fees are so high and when the experience is so rough. And so a lot of what you can do with DAOs on NEAR is providing this high flexibility of experiences, is creating these DAOs to be highly configurable so that they go from being this esoteric governance experiment into something that's actually useful by real communities. And I'll talk about why that matters in a sec. So if you jump onto the next one, the other piece of what I wanted to talk through is great. So we have infrastructure that provides low cost, flexibility, lots of transaction throughput. It allows people to build great components, but why does that matter? And that's where we get into the creator economy. So if you jump to the next slide, so the creator economy is basically a triangle when you look into it. So creators are at the top, of course. And creators is a pretty broad category. It means anything from, I mean, probably the most typical thing that would come to mind for someone is some form of artist, somebody who's creating intellectual property. That could be musicians, that could be formal artists. There's a huge realm around that, but it's also, the creator economy goes all the way out to the edges, to the individual creators, developers, but realistically, it's anyone who's building something, creating something with intellectual property, and who wants to take that out into the world. But creators don't exist on an island, right? And communities creators are fundamentally powered by their communities, and communities are fundamentally often driven by creators themselves. So creators and communities are very intertwined. And then in order to make it an economy, though, for creators to become sustainable, they obviously have to make an income from what they're doing, and that's where financial tools are actually important as well. And so the three pieces kind of work together. You have creators who the communities gather around creators, and then there's an economic relationship where where they're able to make themselves sustainable as creators, and even the communities make themselves sustainable as communities through accessing financial tools. So to expand on that in the next slide. So the creator economy is basically perfect for the blockchain space. And I don't think it's not a surprise to anybody that creators have had a really hard time monetizing and making themselves sustainable during the course of the internet, right? We sort of went from real world scarcity to infinite replicability, and then intellectual property really took a back seat, and it became quite difficult for creators to find a way to make themselves sustainable. And so the components of blockchain are actually almost uniquely suited help creators and to kind of reboot this creative cycle. And it starts with NFTs at the top. So each of the three components that I was talking about actually fit smoothly into one of those categories. So the creators that sit at the top, NFTs actually create digital scarcity. It makes their IP something that they can not just monetize, but can monetize in really flexible ways that interface with the other pieces of this. The community side of it is on the DAOs, right? So if you have highly flexible DAOs that can issue tokens, you can configure how is this community going to spend its money. But even in a bigger idea, it actually allows communities to then become instantiated, to then almost become incorporated as entities. So no longer does a creator have to sort of serve their Facebook community, their Insta community, their TikTok community, and all of these, and each of these communities are essentially owned by platforms. The communities themselves can then become an entity in and of themselves. They have a treasury, which is the DAO, and they can issue tokens to their members, and then the creators can issue NFTs into that treasury, where the cash flows from those NFTs. There are a million different configurations where these things come together, but it's an incredibly powerful loop when you have creators who are actually able to interface directly with their communities to issue into their communities, and then that aligns the communities behind the creators and allows this incredible virtuous cycle where communities are incentivized to go out and find great creators and help support them through the act of creation, and all of this is powered by NFTs and by DAOs. And then to bring things back into the financial layer, though you also need to have markets around these things, right? And that's where something like an AMM comes in, where these are tokens, and so they do need to move around. NFTs need marketplaces. Obviously, at some point somebody's buying, somebody's selling, and there's a whole host of financial tools and a financial ecosystem that exists to support that. And each of the three pieces of this triangle are things that are really uniquely powered by blockchain, and the fact that they can work together that's what creates the cycle that makes the creator economy drive. And so if you go to the next slide, the way that this has kind of come together is we saw DeFi summer in 2020, right? Like that was when the power of DeFi was kind of unlocked for the world. And we saw what happens when all of these components can work together and people can assemble them permissionlessly and sort of financial elements can move freely through the ecosystem. And then what I call NFT winter was we had the Beeple drop, we had a number of these major NFT drops, and I think for every day for 7 days for an entire week, NFTs were on the front page of the New York Times, right? So NFTs as a concept broke through to the mainstream, but at the same time, those NFTs were very single player because they tended to be issued on chains like Ethereum that transaction fees really meant that it had to be these $1 million drops because you can't do more than that. And so the thing that ties this whole cycle back together is the community's arc. And so really in the next, call it six to 12 months, where I think I'm very excited is seeing what happens when you get these DAOs out there and stop calling them DAOs and start calling them community treasuries, and start helping communities actually instantiate themselves and then be a part of this triangle and this loop, because that's what ties it all together. And the reason why I wanted to start with the components is just to show you that for Near, like this is pretty much what Near has actually been built to enable. You saw open finance happening on Ethereum. You've seen the single player style of NFTs happening on Ethereum and some other chains. But really, it's the flexibility of dropping in these DAOs and creating these and making these components able to interface with each other that boots this cycle and kind of takes it into the consumer world as opposed to the collector world. So if you go to the next stage, that's where I just wanted to pop it up into a little bit more of like, what are the implications of this? And so, ultimately what this does is it drives a more open, interconnected, and consumer empowered web. And I want to specifically note consumer empowered, but I'll start with interoperability. So if you go to the next one, again, I don't want to steal too much thunder from Alex, but interoperability is a huge piece. So if you have components sitting on top of the infrastructure, interoperability is really important because these ecosystems don't exist in isolation. And in the next couple of years, I think that you're going to see a multi-chain world where every chain needs to be connected with the others, and near is no different. And so we have a series of things that are being built in the ecosystem that help that interconnection. I'm sure there are lots of them out there that I don't know about, but basically there are kind of three main areas. One of them is bridges, which allows assets to transfer to and from near, not just assets, but also function calls and things like that. So kind of below the surface, it allows these chains to interface with each other in a way that the consumer doesn't even necessarily have to think about. And then you also have the ability to run new types of applications on near. And so that's where you get into something like, how do you run EVM on near on one side, or how do you run app chains on near, like app chains based on substrate and things like that on near. And there are separate efforts that are making that happen as well. And so the goal of interoperability and the goal of all of these individual initiatives and the way that they sum up is by making near kind of this hub of interconnection. And so if you go to the next slide, so the idea here is, or I guess kind of where this leads, is when everything's interconnected, why should assets stay on one chain as opposed to another? Why should developers build on one chain versus another? And what it comes down to is UX, right? Because as people have seen with DeFi, people chase incentives, right? And so if the world is interconnected and somebody's throwing incentives on one side of the ecosystem, then everything kind of sloshes over there for a while, and then it sloshes back. That's not really how the real world works. And consumers are actually the anchor of the real world. And so the question has always been, and this is the question that started all of us on this journey of how do we build the right technology to power this, and why it's more than just about scalability, it's about usability, is that you have to anchor everything in the consumers, in the consumer web. And so that's why the creator economy is so exciting, and why all of these flexible components and why the apps that are coming down the pipes are so exciting, is because the ability to reach those consumers is something that Near almost uniquely enables. Like this is what Near is for, and this is why it's so cool. It's because now people are starting to build apps that have Web 2 style experiences, which means that communities, for instance, can adopt DAOs in a way that they couldn't with other chains, because it was kind of this esoteric, difficult to use technology. And now there's the ability to just drop it into a Web 2 interface and allow people to use their tokens in a way that feels normal and natural and familiar to them. And so what that means is that if the user experience and the ability to reach consumers lives in the Near ecosystem, that makes Near almost like a gravity well where other areas of the ecosystem want to sort of come into Near and participate in that. And so that really means that Near becomes the center, the hub of the interconnected blockchain ecosystem. It doesn't mean it's the only blockchain, but it's the one that when people really want to build these apps that touch consumers and drive the consumer economy and drive the creator economy, which is, again, uniquely enabled by what blockchain is giving it, this is the place to start. So that's what I'm really excited about. And if you go to the next step, that's also kind of where it transitions into what's coming up, because a year ago to October, we were in this infrastructure building phase, and obviously the infrastructure is never quite done. But you go from infrastructure up into components, and components are really getting there. Like I said, we have Sputnik version 2 is being built out there. So DAOs are being innovated on. NFTs are pretty much all the launchers we could possibly need. All the marketplaces that could possibly be needed are in their contract form right now. And then the next piece of it is really about interoperability, and that has also started rolling out, and that's going to be coming out quickly. And then on top of that, it just goes into launches, right? It's once you have the infrastructure, you have the components on top of it, you have the ability to interface with other chains, then all it is it's just about the apps, because then it's just having developers pull these pieces together and turn them into apps and launch them. And once they launch them, are there resources in the ecosystem to support it? So if you go to the next stage and kind of lay it out almost like a roadmap, there's so much cool stuff happening over the course of this quarter and then into the end of the year that basically fills in this roadmap, that basically closes the loop and says, this is how the creator economy exists and spins up and starts building that flywheel on Near. right? So it starts with these components. Most of the components have launched. Interoperability, we have Rainbow Bridge that's launched. EVM and app chains are coming down the pipes. So that's going to make Near kind of the center of interoperability. And then in terms of app launches and all of those things, there's a number that have already occurred, and you're going to see more and more and more coming down the pipes. And to support all of that, there's a whole host of resources that are kind of waiting to be deployed. The Near Grants program has been ongoing now for a full quarter. It's deployed a significant amount of tokens and fiat capital, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff down on the resources side too. And a lot of them are around community governance and sort of how does the community begin to take hold of the resources that have been allocated in the Genesis block for community usage? And so beginning to unlock that and seeing how that can be unlocked and deployed towards efforts that support number 1, number 2, and number 3 there. All of this is coming down the pipes in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, in the next 9 months through the end of the year. So I don't want to go into the details of those. I don't want to spoil the surprise, but I guess just to pop it back up, there's a lot to be excited about. And I think it hasn't always been super clear, like how do the pieces fit together and why is Near, what is the infrastructure on Near good for? And I really just wanted to provide that note that the first step is the creator economy and closing that loop between how do creators issue NFTs into instantiated communities that can then leverage their own NFTs, their own tokens, their own treasuries, and access financial tooling that creates this incredible cycle that allows creators and communities to become sustainable and to build amazing stuff. And I think you've seen the hints of that, and I think that's what's coming down the pipes, and that's where the momentum is starting to build. It's like the wave that you can see out there that's coming. So be excited. Please get involved in any of the development efforts that you need. And I guess just to dive in specifically to the interop piece of it, I want to hand things off to Alex Shevchenko, who led that project on the Rainbow Bridge. And I appreciate your time. Thanks.
Hello, guys. I'm Alex Shevchenko, the product manager of the Rainbow Bridge project. Excited to be here. Excited to see all of your reactions and not a lot of questions, unfortunately, right now, but maybe I will raise some questions, so please be active. Recently, I believe many of you have heard about the Rainbow Bridge, so I would like to start from the question why, and what's the reason for us to build the Rainbow Bridge. Obviously, Ethereum is a leader among the second generation of the blockchains with smart contracts. The idea of a smart contract was originated in Ethereum, actually. So no doubt that Ethereum, as a first mover, have had an advantage in it. As we see right now, as Erik had already told us, we have seen during the course of a year the DeFi summer and then the NFT winter, and the Ethereum ecosystem is booming. It is growing, and it faces some problems. The problems that were surfaced at the very, very first comment to the Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper for the Bitcoin. The problem of the scalability. This problem is there. It is obvious. Because of it, we have very high fees in Ethereum blockchain, and this is bad for two reasons. First one, for individual users who are using it, it just means that they need to pay pretty high fees. The other one is for the applications. On the top level, users are able to access these applications, and unfortunately, they are not able to scale, though they potentially can do this. So that's the problem. So if there is a problem, let's just solve it. Now, and how we can solve it? Yeah, and the solution to all of this, as you already heard from Erik and Illia, this is a Near blockchain. However, things are not working that simple in this way. So there are lots of things already in Ethereum, and people just cannot move to Near blockchain as simple as that. So imagine that you are moving from one country to another, and imagine that you are moving from Germany to Japan. And if I will tell you that you need to come to Japan without anything, without any money, without any documents, without even clothes. So that will be a very, very hard start for you in Japan, isn't it? So we need to help people to do this. We need to help, we need to enable people to bring things from Ethereum ecosystem to Near ecosystem. And this is exactly what the Rainbow Bridge was designed to. The project was started in the fourth quarter of 2019, and to actually solve this simple problem. And just to give you a sense of the size of the ecosystem, I was looking at the DeFi Pulse about a couple of months ago, and on the 1st of February, the total value locked in the DeFi was around 27 billion US dollars. While today, I was checking just before the call, it is already 64, or even almost 65. So DeFi still continues to boom. DeFi grows. And well, I can say that 65 billion US dollars is more than is more than the cost of lots of companies in the world. Yeah. So this is not a joke. Lots of value is locked there, and we just cannot admit this stuff. What is the Rainbow Bridge? If you want me to tell a one-sentence definition of it, this is a tool for Ethereum and Near interaction. It's not only for the movement of the tokens, but in interaction in general. This is very unique for the bridges, because other bridges are focusing on transfers of the tokens, while Rainbow Bridge architecture gives you an ability to do much more than only that. And to give you a very, very short outlook here, I will not go too deep in the technical depth of the project, but just to give you some kind of sense how this stuff is working, is the following. So I'm going to go a little bit into it. So the way how it works is that on Ethereum we have a Near client, Near-like client implemented, and on Near we have an Ethereum-like client implemented. And these clients periodically get the block headers from the other blockchains. So on Near, and you have seen, Illia was showing the slide with the smart contracts that are having lots of transactions, or the topmost by transaction count smart contracts. And you have seen there client.bridge.near. This is the Ethereum-like client on Near. It constantly gets updates from the Ethereum blockchain. Literally, in a couple of seconds after the Ethereum block is generated, this block is submitted to the Near blockchain. So on Near, we have the full state, well, not the full state, but the current state of the Ethereum blockchain. We are able to access any information that is stored on Ethereum. People are able to get information from Chainlink oracles, for example. People are able to get information from the state of the smart contracts. And obviously, people are able to bridge their tokens. Absolutely the same thing goes in the different direction, with the difference that we cannot submit every Near block to Ethereum. It just will take lots of time and especially money, because this is an Ethereum transaction and it costs a lot. So that's why we are submitting Near blocks only periodically, once every 12 hours at the moment. And on top of that infrastructure, the thing that can be built is the connectors to this core infrastructure. And these connectors actually implement the actual thing that is bridged. Either it is a token itself, or a fungible token, or NFT, or potentially a voting of a DAO that is located on Near. This thing can be transferred to the Ethereum blockchain. So to give you a perspective on the current state of affairs, let me tell you multiple things and actually show you the things. Yeah. So the bridge is live on the mainnet since 15th of March. So it is already more than 1 month of operations of the bridge on the mainnet. Before this, bridge was deployed to the mainnet as alpha. Some of the partners have tested it. And even before this, it was located on the testnet for lots of time. And the most important phase there was the Rainbow Hackathon, Rainbow Bridge Hackathon which happened on October last year. And even before this, the bridge was verified by the security company, and we've got the audit of the bridge code at that moment in time. Since then, we have fixed some of the issues and refactored a little bit the code, but the majority of it remained absolutely the same. So there are multiple things that are coming together with the bridge itself. So there is a front end to the bridge where you will be able to bridge your ERC20s. There is a faucet created specifically for Ethereum users, so they are able to create their own Near accounts with a little bit of fun in there. So that's super cool. There are some analytics around the bridge. I will show you in a second. And also a very important thing is that Near Wallet now shows the NEP 141 balances, and NEP 141 stands for the fungible token standard. So enough talking. Let's go directly into the demo. Let's see how all of this stuff is working. So I want to start with showing to you the front end of the Rainbow Bridge. So this is it. You can access it at ethereum.bridgetonear.org. And I already started the transfer here of 17 USDT. This is obviously an awful amount because for the Ethereum side transactions, I already paid like several times more than this amount. However, you're still able to transfer any amount of tokens. Yeah. So here the transfer is at the point when the Ethereum side of the transfer is done. So the transfer was initiated on the Ethereum side, and then there were 20 confirmations of the Ethereum blocks, because as you know, Ethereum blockchain doesn't have finality, so you need to wait some blocks to build on top of the block with your transactions to be sure that your transaction is final and is there. So the only thing that is left is for me to submit a proof of the fact that I was locking 17 USDT on the Ethereum side, and to issue 17 Near USDT or NUSDT on the Near side. So this is an ordinary Near transaction. I'm just clicking here that I would like to do it. At the moment, what happens, the bridge front end redirects me to the Near wallet, and Near wallet shows me some information about the transaction. I'm alone in this transaction. And as you know, the transactions on the Near blockchain are taken around 1 to 2 seconds to finalize. So this happens really, really fast. And as we can see that the transfer was successful, or like something, everything was successful. And you can see here that here is my transfer of 17 USDT. It is completed, and yeah. So I literally finished the transfer. If you want to start the transfer, then you need to choose the direction of the transfer. I'm just show you a little bit of the UI, and you are literally able to transfer any ERC20 any ERC20 token. So here there are some of the tokens that are listed there with like we have put these tokens here, but you're able to enter any token address, and then you will be able to bridge this token. This is how the transfer is initiated. Now, the cool stuff about the Near wallet is that, well, I can see my USDT here right directly in the Near wallet. As you can see, here is the address of FN USDT contract, but I see here the balance. So that's pretty cool. I believe that this is not the correct balance because I need to refresh the page. 157, and I believe I need to add 17 more. So we will be able to see, yeah, 174. Yeah. So how cool is that? In the official wallet, you have the support of all of the fungible tokens that are available on your blockchain. That's super cool. And now what I can do with these tokens? Well, I can go to the Refinance, for example, which is the AMM solution. And I already have put on the Refinance a little bit of USDT. And for example, I can swap it into DAI. Well, the bridge DAI. So for example, if I will try to exchange 50 USDT, it gives me for 50 USDT 47.8 DAI, which is not that bad deal, but not that good also. But just for the sake of showing you how this thing is working, I'm just going to do the swap. So as you can see, again, there is a redirection to the Near wallet. There are some information about the transaction, allowing this transaction, and again, enjoying the speed of the Near blockchain. Just in a matter of seconds, the transaction is completed, and and as you can see, the swap was successful. Actually, I'm able to see what was happening there. And this link, okay, something is not working with Explorer. Yeah, unfortunately, but well, it literally doesn't matter. I see that the balance of the USDT went down, and the balance of the DAI, the balance that I was having there, went up. So that's pretty cool. So literally what Ethereum people that are here on the call can do is they can create a Near wallet through Faucet. Actually, I would like to show you where you are able to do this. So if I log out from the bridge, if I log out from my Near account, then you will be able to see that if you need a Near account, create one here. This is the link to the Faucet. The Faucet is hosted by Paras, so you are able to use it. Most probably, we're getting some signals that we need to make this in a bigger font or something. But yeah, if you're watching this, just go here, create your Near account. So how cool is that? You are able to create your Near account. You are able to bridge some of your tokens that you have on Near, go to Refinance, and swap it into whatever you want. And for example, you can swap it into wrapped Near, which is something like wrapped Ethereum, and you can get your Near tokens. So I really enjoy having already these apps here on the Near blockchain and have an ability to use this. But besides Refinance, the thing that we already have is also Pulse Market. So for example, with the bridge tokens, people are able to create prediction markets. And look here, there is a prediction market for today's match in between Manchester City and PSG, which is nominated in DAI, and that's cool. You are able to go there. Okay, you are able to go here, and well, what I can do and what all of you can do is to buy or is to predict the result of this match. I'm not a big fan of football, so sorry, I'll not go into vote because unfortunately I do not know what is the probability of Manchester City winning the PSG. And the very last thing that I would like to show to you is some stats. Actually, I'm going to show you the Etherscan account. This 23DDD3E is actually the connector account, the connector of the Rainbow Bridge that holds all of the tokens that are bridged at the moment to the Near blockchain. And you can see what you can see the stats on this. We can go here and see that there are already more than 663,000 worth of US dollars bridged from Ethereum to Near, and this number is continuously growing. And you can see that the biggest amount is Tether, and then we've got wrapped Ethereum and DAI and so on. There are lots of information here, and there are lots of very interesting tokens that have been bridged. For example, we have 20 Matic token on our blockchain, which is cool. So Coming back to the deck. Coming back to the deck. Look, Near blockchain works better than Google than Google presentations. That's cool. So coming back here, I would like to take a couple of minutes for the outlook of what is going to happen in future. And very simple thing, we would like to enable all of the Near ecosystem to be able to work with Ethereum DeFi applications. So pretty soon we are going to add an additional feature to the Rainbow Bridge, an ability to bridge Near token directly to Ethereum as an ERC20. As you can see, this opens an unlimited applications for the Near token. And this is going to be, well, from my point of view, this is going to be a game-changing feature for all of the Near community. So a small thing, a small connector, and it gives us lots of value. But however, it is not the most important thing which I believe is coming, because the most important one is the launch of the Aurora project. And as Erik said, Aurora is a joint project in between Rainbow Bridge and the EVM. So literally this project is about having an ability to launch Ethereum applications on Near blockchain and an ability to bridge the liquidity. So here I'm like wrapping up the need of the Ethereum ecosystem to scale now. An Aurora project is going to satisfy this need and is going to give an ability to people to make use of the features of the Near blockchain, like low transaction fees and fast confirmations, and allow to dApps to scale their businesses. So, so buckle up for the Aurora release. It's going to be pretty soon, and we have lots of interesting announcements here with regard to Aurora and with regard to many other things that are happening in the blockchain. So here I'm going to stop. Thanks everybody for watching us and being active with the questions. And this is exactly the time when we are going to go directly into the questions. We are going to answer them. So Erik, Illia, please join me.
Thank you, Alex. Awesome. Yeah, just before we dive into questions, just for the slide, I mean, obviously, if you're here, you probably know about some of this already, but there's plenty of kind of places to follow to like the development, as well as to participate in the conversation in the community on the governance forum. And also if you're a founder or building things, to join the grants program and Open Web Collective. So yeah, let's start with questions. Let's see, what's our first question? The one I see here is
about the displaying of NFTs. Will there be a wallet display for NFTs? If not, can someone build one, please?
I actually was just looking. There's a project in Near-Apps called NFT Gallery, and then I also know we have gave a grant to another project also building it. So yeah, I think there's at least like a couple places that are happening for this outside of a wallet. I would say probably like short term. I mean, obviously Wallet team knows best, and you can check out their roadmap on the Near roadmap here. But probably NFTs are kind of down the pipe, as there's a lot of other functionality. But yeah, I think like stay tuned on Twitter and other places for the galleries to kind of to launch. If you're into code, you can try running this. So let's see.
Okay, the next question about IDOs?
Yeah, that's a good question. There is few projects, as far as I know, in the ecosystem that are building IDOs that really trying to kind of shape this. I think they will be talking about this as kind of it comes to fruition. But yeah, I think kind of having a platform for offerings is definitely important for the ecosystem, and I can see community need and also people building it. So let's stay tuned for that. When will Ref 2.0 happen? That's an interesting question. Again, probably a question for Ref team, but my understanding is Ref 1.0 didn't happen yet, so probably in a few months after 1.0 launches. So if I would speculate, yeah, I think like Ref right now is still in the beta, kind of as they are testing out how everything works, and I think like as there's more folks joining the community and more folks contributing, the pace of kind of innovation there will accelerate as well. Interoperability with some storage protocol. That's actually a really cool question. We actually have we have this place for where you can find like kind of requests for grants and kind of ideas. And this is one of the ideas there. So if anybody wants to work on that, this would be amazing. And I would love to kind of, if you want to discuss that, how to structure it. I think there's a lot of cool things to do with Filecoin, and there is some research to do how to do it with Arweave. Actually, I posted a way to potentially do it through off-chain workers, because Arweave actually doesn't have a light client, and so it might be easier to just have like off-chain workers, kind of Oracle style.
Yeah, and stuff like that is really good for applying for grants as well.
Yeah, exactly. When can people transfer from wallet to another near wallet about bridged ERC20? Alex, do you want to take that?
Yeah, so as far as I understand, the wallet team has a priority of this feature. They're working pretty hard on this. And well, it seems like it's just maybe a couple of weeks from the moment of time when people will be able to do the transfers of fungible tokens in their wallet. So I'm not going to promise you this, but it seems for me that the wallet team is working on this already for some time and almost ready to do this, to deliver this.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to learn kind of the wallet's roadmap, I linked this. They have a repo with kind of things that are queued and kind of links to current development and everything. So you can keep track and maybe vote with emojis for things that are have more community support.
Yeah, probably one additional question to myself: where can I learn more about the technical details of how the Ethereum bridge works? So the best place to go is the blog, and there is an in-depth technical article about the Rainbow Bridge that is written by Max. So there are lots of information there, and after you have read it, the best place to consult with is going to be the repositories.
I think there's yet another question. When can bridge support NFT transfer from Ethereum?
Yeah, so that's a hard question because of multiple reasons. Well, first of all, the bridge team now is focusing on Aurora, and as you can imagine, the reason why the bridge team is working with Aurora is that, well, you need to be able to bridge tokens and to the EVM runtime from the near runtime. So Rainbow Bridge is the project that enables you to do the transfers from Ethereum to near native runtime. And now we will have an additional runtime, the EVM runtime. and we still need to be able to transfer things inside of the EVM runtime. So that's why the bridge team is working hard here too right now. So we are focusing on this thing, and then, as I said, we are going to release the near transfers. Well, and after this, we will be able to do the NFT connector. However, anyone is able to build the NFT connector, so nothing is holding you from it. The very important feature of the Rainbow Bridge is that it is completely trustless, and it is like composable. So people can build their own connectors. If you want something for your dApp to be able to transfer from Ethereum to Near, well, you just can build a couple of smart contracts and deploy them, and everything will be there. So this is very convenient. You can think of the Rainbow Bridge as a service that helps you prove the information on the other blockchain. So that's cool. As far as I understand, Matt Lockyer is working on the NFT connector. So shout out to him. He's very, very active, and probably many of you know him. Yeah, the very last thing that I want to mention with regard to NFTs is that there are multiple standards for NFTs, and there are some NFTs that are not obeying any standards. So, for example, CryptoKitties and CryptoPunks, they are not ERC 721 compatible. So that's why, in order to transfer these tokens, you will need to build a separate connector. So NFTs are not that simple in comparison to fungible tokens. So potentially it will take a little bit of time. Yeah, Erik, and probably one to you.
Yeah. What's the plan to grow the number of creators on Near? You're muted if you're talking.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that this is where we get to that intersection of what's bubbling up from the community versus what are we able to do with our own resources. So I think I'm gonna defer a little bit because there's some announcements that are coming up. So punting on that one a little bit, I would say keep an eye out on the blog, keep an eye out on the Telegram, keep an eye out on the email.
Awesome. Well, this is it for today. We had a really kind of update from 1 year anniversary to creators on Near and beyond, and more details on the bridge. I hope this was informative and we'll learn something. We have more amazing stuff coming out, so please tune in as we're going to try to do this town halls more often and kind of engaging more of the community members. And if you want to contribute, follow these links. There's plenty of stuff going on across, obviously, the community, the governance forum, the Twitter, and also the Discord and Telegram, so Near chat and Telegram link. So we'd love to see you there. Thanks, everyone.